Okay, so today I'm going to do a workshop on DecisionPoint trend and condition analysis. And, the last workshop I did 2 weeks ago was on big picture indicators. And this time around, rather than starting with the indicator and then looking at it across the various indexes, we're going to go the other direction. We're going to start with an index and then move through all the different indicators for that index. And that's the beauty of our DecisionPoint chart packs. They are set up so that you can choose which direction you want to go. Am I really interested in, say, the McClellan oscillator across what it's doing across all the different indexes? Or am I interested in what's going on with the NASDAQ 100? And I want to see all of the indicator charts for the NASDAQ 100. So that's the direction we're going to go today. So trend and condition analysis, and I'm actually putting the finishing touches on an article that will go into Chart School about a little bit more detailed about trend and condition analysis. But these are the basics, as far as decision point analysis. And if you've watched any of the ChartCom presentations or any of my workshops where I've talked about our different analysis processes, this should be very, very familiar. So the first thing what we do is we like to look at what's going on with the trend. And when I talk about the trend, we're talking about price trend, looking at the daily, weekly, and monthly charts. So all we're really looking at in the trend part of our analysis is what's happening with rising trends, falling trends, declining tops, trend lines, support and resistance. It's all about the price. Once you've gotten your look on the price, then you want to go and analyze your current market in conditions. And the conditions of either just the index, you can find using your PMO and the momentum and volume, or like I said, when we're looking at these big picture indicators, since we're going to study more so an index versus a stock, we'll be looking at the big picture indicators to analyze our current market conditions. And then also in our trend and condition analysis chart pack, we also have studies of the dollar, gold, oil, and bonds in there. So I'll be going over that as well. So not only will I kind of go through our analysis process, I'm going to show you how I do that using our DecisionPoint chart packs. So it's great if you are an extra member or above. Very easy to download these chart packs. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that first, because I'm going to be using these chart packs to give you examples of how I do my trend and condition analysis. So let's go over there first. All right, so here we are on our handy dandy members dashboard. And what we want to do, remember, we're now downloading a DecisionPoint chart pack. So the way you get to your chart packs is you go up to your account right here, and you go ahead and click on that. And it's going to bring up all your information. And then if you look right down here, chart packs. Currently, I only have the DecisionPoint market indicators. And the reason I have that is because I went over that 2 weeks ago in the big picture indicators workshop. So I click on Manage Chart Packs, and here we are. You can see I already have this one. And what I want to do today is I'm going to install both the Straight Shots chart pack as well as the Trend and Condition chart pack, because they both kind of work hand in hand. I like the Trend and Condition chart pack because it does bring in, gold and the dollar. That's within that chart pack, whereas Straight Shots tend to be are just really what the indexes are, maybe a sector, and then looking at within that the indicators. So we also have an intraday chart pack, which is very handy. I can show that to you another day. But basically, if you download this, I'll just give you a click here so you can see. It's really handy for just getting that quick look at what's going on in the markets. It's just 10-minute bar charts, and they are across, well, there's 50 of them. So the beauty of the intraday chart pack is that you can go and click, 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 click all the way through these, or you can look at it in Candle Glance and just have all of the major indexes on there for intraday looks. So you can just keep an eye on it as we go, but we're not going to do that one. we want to download the straight shots and the trend and condition. So let's go ahead and do that. And they are free. And here are what is included in them. So this is the straight shots one. So you can see it's just indexes, the major indexes that we cover. And each of these has all of the indicators, the big picture indicators for each of them within their own little chart list. So I'm going to install that chart pack first. And again, free, very easy. So now if I go down here to my chart lists, there are my market indicators. But if I keep going down, now I have the straight shots chart pack, and it's right in here just like we saw it for installing it. All right, so we still need to install the trend and condition one. So let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And like I said, I'm showing this to you just because it makes it easier to give you an example of how to use our trend and condition analysis, because these are ready-made. You can just use them right away. So the trend and condition charts, as you can see, includes the gold, silver, the XAU. We have bond price and yield and TLT, the 20-year bond. So this covers more of your commodities. It has a little bit more involved in it than just the major indexes, which right here you can see these top four. Those are the DecisionPoint scoreboard indexes that I keep track of for you on the home page. If you get your DP signals tile, that's what those four are the ones that we cover. And so that works out well to look at it in the trend and condition chart pack. You can do it that way, or like I said, we'll look at some of the straight shots, which is really the same sort of analysis process we're talking about today. All right, so now we know how to install the chart packs. Now let's actually get into using them a little bit. All right, so we're going to come back to this. I want to come back to this. I will. Okay. All right, so we just looked at how to download a DecisionPoint chart pack. Remember, you just go to your account from the home page, manage chart packs, and then that's where you can install them as well as remove them. I think you saw the red button there. So, try them out. It's no big deal. Try them out. You can annotate whatever you want to do, and then remove them if you just find it's not very helpful. But I'd be surprised if you didn't find them helpful. I find them very helpful, but they are easy to install and remove. Just so you know, if you reinstall or you remove them and then install, if you had any annotations or anything within those chart lists, those disappear. So when you reinstall, it's going to be fresh. You won't have any of your annotations. So just be aware of that if you decide to remove it and then put it back. All right, so let's get back to the analysis side of things. So here is the first step of the trend and condition analysis. And that is, and this works for anything, ETFs, stocks, whatever it is, as well as indexes. This is what I do to start looking at trend and condition. So the price trends, obviously, you can get that using the trend model signals, and I'll show you how to do that. That'll give you an idea of what's going on with the price. And then also on my daily charts in particular, I also include momentum indicators. This gives us an idea of the condition of what's going on within that stock, ETF, or index. Looking at the volume patterns, I use the OBV, relative and internal strength. You can do that using the scooter or even comparing PMO values from one index to another. It will show you relatively how much stronger or weak it is in comparison. So I find the scooter to be especially helpful with that, but you can also do that with the PMO. So that's how you do your trend and condition for just a stock, ETF, or even an index. But if I'm looking at an index or a big picture sort of indicator, that's the conditions analysis that we need to do, is the market condition analysis. So we were looking at price trends, right? Price trend trends on our daily charts or weekly or monthly. And we looked at the individual indicators for that particular stock, ETF, or index. This is for when you're looking at an index. These are the indicators that are considered market indicators, or I like to call them big picture indicators, because they give you a view across that market or that index, what is going on. For example, the percentage of stocks above their 20, 50, 200-day EMAs. That's a big picture indicator that tells me about what's going on within that index. How many are, doing well, how many are not doing well, just based on that percentage in those 3 time frames. And like I said, I did go over a lot of that in my previous workshop on big picture indicators, and you can find that. You can find it on YouTube. So once you've got your big picture indicators, in the case of when we were looking, if we look at gold, bonds, or the dollar, you'll see when we go into those chart lists that it also has corresponding markets and things you might be wanting to look at as far as the trend and condition of gold per se, or silver. And we'll look at that, like I said, shortly. And then special studies is a way to analyze market condition. And if you've if you have watched Market Watchers Live on Fridays, you know that I do a sentiment report, sentiment update, and that would be, I would consider, a special study to see what else is going on in the market. So if you want to go kind of off to the side, a lot of these indicators are also included in these chart packs. So, all right, so let's go ahead and do some real time here, trend and condition analysis. So hold on just a moment, we'll get right there. All righty. Okay, so now we have these chart packs in here. And like I said, what we're going to do today is, instead of looking at, as you can see in their market indicators chart pack, instead of looking at an indicator and then looking at, for example, so instead of picking, for example, the McClellan oscillator and then looking at it across the various indexes, what we're going to do is we're going to go the opposite direction. We're going to start with an index and then move through all the indicators for that index. So you can see sometimes, depending on what you're interested in looking at, that determines which chart pack you'll probably want to look at. I'm going to go ahead and we'll start with the trend and condition chart pack, because it does include some of these things that we don't necessarily include all the time, like in our DP chart list, the DP chart gallery. A lot of these aren't in there, so I wanted to go over those first. So this is the trend and condition chart pack. And let's go ahead and we'll start looking at a few of these various chart lists. So we'll start with the gold one. And I will tell you that the gold one is very similar to the GLD one, only of course this is giving us the spot price. And what we do is we already have it set up in the various time frames. And so that'll give you a good look at what's going on, as far as price trend all the way across. And then we also track the Sprott Physical Gold Trust. That's where we get our discount premium information. It's a closed-end fund, so like Central Fund of Canada, they have a specific amount of metals, and then depending on what people pay for that, whatever price they get in there and pay for it, that could mean that it's at either a discount of what the actual value is of what they're holding, or it could be a premium for what the actual price of what they have is at that point. So that's how we do our discounts and premiums. So let's go ahead and we'll just walk our way through one of these. So here we go. So as you can see, here's your first one, your daily chart. Remember, this is dollar gold, so we're going to have, we will not have the action from what's going on currently today. But let me make this a little bigger for us. All right. And again, you can now use the arrows to kind of go through and see what's going on. So here's the 1-year chart for gold, gives you an idea of what's going on. And again, this is the daily chart. So what I've noticed and what I've talked to you about in the DecisionPoint reports on my DP alerts on Wednesday, as far as gold is concerned, we've got that bottom above the signal line. That tells me that that's bullish as far as momentum goes for the PMO. I think it's especially bullish usually when you see a bottom above the signal line. And as you can see, it's not at all what I would call overbought. We could still certainly see the PMO move higher. My issue right now, I'm just giving you a little free analysis here. My opinion right now is we're not seeing the kind of action that we should off of a move like this on the PMO, and that has me a bit concerned. Although at the same time, it's showing that maybe internally there is some momentum and it's ready to break. It's ready to, like a rubber band. It's time for it to now move. It's had all this momentum in the background underneath the surface, and now we could see the pop. But my concern at this point is this rounded top right now on gold. I think that could be a problem, and it just hasn't been working the way it should. When you think about it, we should have had a breakout of more serious proportions. I would have expected a much better breakout. You can see right now, when you look at, again, this is in our trend and condition chart pack, you can see the PMO is on a buy signal on the weekly chart. So that gives us an intermediate term trend model buy signal. And we can still click on through. Now we're looking at a monthly 20-year for gold. Click on through, and here's that Sprott Physical Gold Trust. And here's the information that I follow most closely is that premium discount. Right now, you can see discounts are moving higher. That means that sentiment is bearish right now for gold. And when you see bearish sentiment being contrarian, you should expect a bullish move from that. Now, of course, I'm looking at the PMO for the Sprott Physical Gold Trust, and it is now in decline. I'm going to add a thumbnail here just because I want to see exactly what's going on with that. And there we go. Yes. So you can see at this point with the Sprott Physical Gold Trust, the PMO is not really turned up. It's in fact pointing downward and looking toward a sell signal. So I think that also gives us some, again, an idea of what's going on within this particular chart list of all of the gold information. And then here is the CEF. Right now, it's really it's a gold and silver trust. I don't think we're following this one as much anymore, but it still gives you sort of the same information that we want to look for as far as the premiums and discounts. But I find that this one is a lot more handy as far as that. And this is an 8-year chart. All right. I apologize that there's a lot of white space here, but these are how those chart packs are downloaded. So you'll just have to bear with me there. All right, so more in the trend and condition chart pack. Like I said, I'm going to skip the top 4 because those are covered very well in the straight shots chart pack. Silver. This will give you an idea of what's in our silver one. You can see we have all of the different the price charts up through 20 years, and then also the CEF, which Central Fund of Canada also includes silver. Bond yields. Again, this all gives you trend and condition for each of these areas. So in the case of the 30-year Treasury bond yield, of course, we have, it's pre-done with the PMO, and we have all of the different time periods already there for you. Let's look at, here's UUP, the dollar, which is what I follow very closely in the DP alert. Again, you have all of the different time frames already produced for you. This is some of the other markets you might be interested in are also included in here. So you have the euro is in here. And we also have the Japanese yen. And of course, you could add more in there for what you would like, but these were the ones that we have ready-made and prepared for you. All right, and the commodities, well, we'll go ahead and look at the oil ETF chart list. And again, it's all of the different time frames already ready for you. And then we also have the oil volatility index. I don't know if you knew that that was a thing, but we do have that. And as you can see, we're getting volatilities going to the upside. We're getting a lot of volatility. We're reading right now at 33.87. This is, to me, it's you know, we have to, I think it's a good thing the more we get high on the on this. A lot of times with the volatility index, you know, when you get people very nervous and very bearish across the board, that's usually when you're going to see a price reversal. So these volatility indexes, I think, are very helpful for that. Boy, we can see today USO, though, down here right now, testing very important support here at $13. We'll have to see if that can hold. All right, so I think I've given you a pretty good idea of what's in the trend and condition chart pack. And there you go, commodities, same idea. And, you know, when we had our DecisionPoint site, all of these charts and lists were all on our homepage. I don't know if any of you are previous subscribers, but we had all of these charts with links on the homepage. So our homepage was just, we used to completely freak a lot of people out when they got to the site, because we just had so many charts, and they were all, the links were right on that homepage. These are straight from the website, and that's why we have, you know, already pre-made those different time frames in there, and pre-made the different indicators that we like. So let's go to the straight shots chart pack, and I think this one is the best one to use for analysis of just a particular index and looking at the indicators across the board for it. So let's go ahead and we'll look at let's look at the S&P 500, because I think everybody's mostly interested in that. Alrighty, and here's what's included in the straight shots S&P 500 chart list. These are all of the different charts that are within that. And as you can see, we can go down. Not only do we get the different time frames already done for us, we have the Swenlin trading oscillators in there. And we can just arrow through and look at the various indicators for the S&P 500 only. Now we have the volatility index, we have the big picture indicators, which ones are above their stocks are above their 250 and 20-day EMAs. Over the short term, that works out very well, and over the intermediate term, you want to look at the 50-day, and the stocks above the 200-day is really your long-term look at what's going on big picture wise. Well, we're certainly seeing on the rally that we had off of the low here that we are getting some participation in the shorter term, and I do like to see that. We're still only just a little over half of the S&P 500 above their 20-day EMAs. That's not a lot. We certainly want to see some improvement there, at least up into that 80 range, where you can see is typically the top of that range. We also need to see some more action here as far as stocks above their 50-day EMA. So in the intermediate term, we're still looking at very bearish readings here with not a lot of participation, and certainly in the longer term, some problems as well, with less than half of the S&P 500 above their 200-day EMA. So you can just go right through here and get to all of these big picture indicators, just arrowing through these chart packs. So here's the, let's see, here are the percent PMO rising, crossover buy signals, and those above zero in the S&P 500. And again, this is your big picture type indicator. We're getting a short-term, we get the short-term look with PMOs rising. So when your PMO is pointed upward and of course going that direction, doesn't matter where it's located, just as long as it's rising, that is a short-term look. And we're having some nice improvement there. I like seeing that move very quickly up into that 80 range. I think that is very encouraging, given the you know, concerns of what's going on with the market right now. I think that's a good sign, seeing all of those PMOs rising. That means momentum is positive for 82% of the S&P 500. And looking at crossover buy signals, how many of them have crossed over and have a buy signal? A little over 50%. we need to see more participation there in the intermediate term. But it is, again, encouraging when you start seeing these moves. Long term, not much improvement. We're looking at only about a quarter of the S&P 500 that have PMOs above the zero line. So in the case of right here, the S&P 500 itself, it is not above the zero line. It's currently trying to give us a buy signal here, and it is rising. So right now it would fit within this category of rising and crossover buy signals, but it wouldn't fit here because the PMO obviously is well below the zero line. So when you have a very strong market and a lot of momentum, and you're looking for the condition of the market, that's where you'd want to go. All right, I'm going to just pick one more, and then we will move on and do our takeaways from today. So I did want to show you that we have the S&P 600, and we have plenty of indicators as well. The STOs, the short-term, the Swenlin trading oscillators, and the ITBM are our premier indicators, I suppose, the ones that you use, the greatest hits, like you should use those every day when you're looking at these different indexes. Those are the ones you want to definitely look at. And then we also, of course, have breadth indicators in here and the McClellan oscillator as well, and that's for the S&P 600. So you can see lots of choices. We even have the S&P equal weight ETF. And again, you're going to get all of that same information, the STOs, the ITBM, and the ITVM. So trend and condition analysis basically is looking at not only the price trends, but you want to also look at what the conditions of the market are. And the best and easiest way to do that is to use those DecisionPoint ChartPacks. That gives you the easy way to get to those primary decision point indicators, and it also gives you that opportunity to see all of the other big picture indicators you might want to look at as well. So let's go ahead, and I want to go through our takeaways for today, and then we'll look very quickly at our poll. All right, so takeaways for today. What you want to look at first is your priced trend analysis, and that's where I get my trend model signals. I didn't go through exactly how we calculate them, but they are based on 5, 20, 50, and 200-day EMA crossovers. You can find tons of information on this in Chart School. I will probably do a workshop just really concentrating on our trend model in the future. But for now, that's the best place to go is Chart School. And of course, if you read any of our articles, whenever we have a signal change, I explain why we have the signal change and how it is comes about. Condition analysis, you want to look at your PMO signals, volume. That's for your individual stock, equity, or even index. But then if you're looking at an index, now you want to look at those big picture indicators. And again, the trend and condition and straight shots chart packs make this super, super easy because they're already there, and you just pick your index and then boom, everything is in there that you need. And like I said, you would be surprised how many different VIXs that we have. You would be surprised at how, volatility indexes. You'd be surprised at the Swenlin trading oscillators and ITBM, ITVM that we have it, not just for the S&P 500, not just for the NASDAQ 100, Dow, S&P 100. We have them for almost all of the major indexes. And if you remember, we even include some of the equal weight indexes. So really great information. I hope that you will go and at least try downloading one of the chart packs and maybe just noodling around with it. So I think that it's a great place to go and a great way to do your analysis. And of course, decision point analysis, it is simply, those chart packs are made so that you can do that kind of analysis.